Have you ever had that feeling? That deep, gut-wrenching knot in your stomach telling you something is wrong, terribly wrong, even when everything on the surface looks perfect. You try to ignore it. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, insecure. You listen to the reassurances, the gentle dismissals, but the feeling just won't go away. It lingers, like a shadow in the corner of your eye. That's where I was, just months ago, living in what I thought was a happy marriage, completely oblivious to the earthquake that was about to rip my world apart. My wife, Sarah. God, just saying her name now feels different. She was my everything. My rock, my confidant, the person I thought I knew better than I knew myself. We had built a life together, dreams, plans, the whole 9 yards. And then he came into the picture. Mark. Just a colleague, she said. Just a friend. It started subtly. Mentions of him here and there. Lunch meetings that ran a little long. Inside jokes I wasn't privy to. Normal stuff, right? People have work friends. I told myself that. Over and over. But then, the text started. Late nights. Her phone screen flashing, quickly angled away from me. That little smile playing on her lips as she typed, a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in a while. When I asked, gently at first, who she was talking to so late, it was always the same answer. Oh, just Mark. Work stuff. Or, just Mark, he's having a tough time. Needed someone to talk to. The excuses were plausible, always plausible. But my gut, that damned gut feeling, it was screaming. I started feeling like an outsider in my own home, in my own marriage. The air grew thick with unspoken things. The easy laughter we used to share felt forced. The comfortable silences became tense voids. I remember one night, we were watching a movie, something mindless. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. It was late, maybe 11 p.m. She glanced at it. A flicker of something I couldn't quite decipher crossed her face. Annoyance? Guilt? Before she silenced it and put it face down. Who was that? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual, trying not to betray the suspicion clawing at my insides. Nobody important, she mumbled, eyes fixed on the TV, but I knew she wasn't watching. Just Mark again? I pressed, hating the way my voice sounded, tight and suspicious. She sighed, that exaggerated sigh that always made me feel small. Yes, David, it was Mark. Can we please just watch the movie? You're being so insecure lately. He's just a friend. How many times do I have to tell you? Insecure. That was her weapon. Every time I voiced a concern, every time I questioned the secrecy, the late-night texts, the sudden vagueness about her schedule, I was labeled insecure. It was a masterful stroke, really. It shut down the conversation, made me the problem, deflected from her behavior. And like a fool, I bought it. Or at least, I tried to. I didn't want to be that guy. The jealous husband. The controlling partner. I wanted to trust her. God, I wanted to trust her more than anything. So, I'd swallow my doubts, apologize for being insecure, and try to pretend that the ground wasn't shifting beneath my feet. I started pulling back emotionally, not intentionally, but as a defense mechanism. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being played for a fool. The intimacy between us dwindled, replaced by a polite distance. She didn't seem to notice, or if she did, she didn't care. Or maybe she was relieved. The real break came during a supposed work conference she had to attend. Out of town. Just for 2 nights. It was for her department, she said. Mark would be there, of course, along with others. Team building, she called it, rolling her eyes playfully. You know how these corporate things are. I helped her pack, kissed her goodbye at the door, trying to push down the bile rising in my throat. That night, I couldn't sleep. The house felt too empty, too quiet. I decided to do some tidying up, maybe organize the credit card bills, anything to keep my mind busy. And that's when I saw it. A charge notification email from my credit card company. Usually, I just glance at them, but this one, the name jumped out at me. The Grand Serenity Hotel, $487.50. My blood ran cold. The Grand Serenity. That wasn't the budget-friendly business hotel chain her company usually booked for conferences. That was a luxury hotel. A place you go for romantic getaways, not corporate team building. And the dates matched her conference. My heart started hammering against my ribs. No, I told myself. There must be an explanation. Maybe the company splurged? Maybe she upgraded? But the doubt was a raging fire now. Driven by a desperate need to know, I did something I never thought I'd do. I logged into our shared travel rewards account. We always booked personal trips through it. I scrolled through the history, praying I wouldn't find anything. And then, there it was. A reservation at the Grand Serenity. Booked weeks in advance. 1 room. King bed. 2 nights. And the name on the reservation wasn't just hers. It was Sarah and Mark. I felt the air leave my lungs. It was like being punched in the gut. Hard. The screen blurred in front of my eyes. Disbelief warred with a sickening certainty. Just friends. The words echoed in my head, mocking me. Just friends, staying together, in a luxury hotel room, with a king-sized bed. The betrayal was absolute, staggering. It wasn't just the physical act, which I now knew with chilling certainty, had happened. It was the lies. The months of gaslighting. The way she had twisted my legitimate concerns back on me, making me feel crazy, insecure, making me doubt my own sanity. She hadn't just cheated. She had systematically dismantled my trust, my reality. I sat there for what felt like hours, the credit card statement and the reservation confirmation glowing accusingly on the screens in front of me. Numbness gave way to a white-hot rage, then plunged into a despair so deep I thought I might actually drown in it. How could she? How could the woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, do this? And Mark, this friend, this snake she had welcomed into our lives. I wanted to smash something, scream, tear the house apart. But I didn't. A strange, cold calm washed over me. The kind of calm that comes when the worst has already happened, when there's nothing left to fear. I took screenshots. Saved everything. Logged out. Then I sat in the dark, the silence of the house pressing in on me. She was due back tomorrow afternoon. What was I going to do? Confront her immediately? Throw her out? Demand answers I already knew? Part of me wanted the explosive confrontation, the dramatic showdown. But another part, a colder, more calculated part, whispered a different idea. She had played a game, a long game of deception. Maybe I needed to play one too. Not out of spite, not yet, but out of self-preservation. I needed to see how deep the rabbit hole went, how far the lies stretched. She called me the next morning, cheerful, telling me about the boring conference sessions and how she missed me. Her voice, once a source of comfort, now sounded like nails on a chalkboard. Every word felt like another lie layered onto the already towering structure of deceit. Can't wait to be home, she chirped. Me too, I replied, my voice carefully neutral, devoid of the storm raging inside me. Drive safe. I hung up, my hand trembling slightly. The charade had begun. I spent the day in a daze, cleaning the house, making it look like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't just discovered the devastating truth that had shattered my world. I felt like an actor preparing for the most difficult role of my life. When she walked through the door later that day, beaming, dropping her bags, rushing to hug me, it took every ounce of self-control I possessed not to recoil. I missed you so much, she said, her eyes sparkling. Were they always this good at faking? Or had I just been blind? How was the conference? I asked, my voice steady. Oh, she waved a hand dismissively. Long meetings, bad coffee, the usual. Mark says hi, by the way. She mentioned his name so casually, so effortlessly. Just friends. The lie slipped off her tongue like honey, poisonous honey. I forced a smile. Good to be back? So good, she sighed, snuggling closer for a second before pulling away to unpack. I watched her go, the evidence burning a hole in my digital pocket. She had no idea. She thought she had gotten away with it. She thought I was still the trusting, slightly insecure husband. Little did she know, the man she left 2 days ago was gone. In his place was someone else. Someone who knew the truth. And the question that echoed in the chilling silence of my mind was, what was I going to do about it? The game wasn't over. In fact, it felt like it was just beginning. So there I was, living a lie. Sharing a bed with the woman who had just spent 2 nights in a luxury hotel with her friend. Every touch felt like acid. Every shared meal tasted like ash. But I kept playing the part. The slightly distant, maybe still a bit insecure, but ultimately unsuspecting husband. Why? Because exploding, confronting her right away, it felt too easy. It felt like letting her off the hook. She had orchestrated this elaborate deception, weaving lies upon lies. I needed to understand the full extent of it. I needed more than just the hotel booking. I needed the whole, ugly truth before I made my move. It was a strange kind of torture, living side by side with the source of my deepest pain, pretending everything was normal. The nights were the worst. Lying there in the dark, inches away from her, replaying the images my mind conjured. Her and Mark, laughing, touching, sharing secrets in that king-sized bed I'd paid for. Sleep offered little escape, often filled with nightmares that left me drenched in cold sweat. During the day, I became a detective in my own life. It felt sordid, invasive, but necessary. I started paying closer attention. Not just to her phone, which she guarded more closely than ever, but to everything. Her explanations for working late became flimsier. Odd errands popped up at strange times. There were hushed phone calls she'd taken in another room, emerging with flushed cheeks and overly bright eyes. Just work, she'd say, or just my mom. But the cadence of her voice, the forced casualness, it screamed guilt. I started looking at our phone records online, something I'd never dreamed of doing before. And there it was. Call after call, text after text, exchanged between her and Mark. Not just during work hours, but late at night, early in the morning, on weekends. Hundreds of messages. Long conversations. This wasn't just friends helping each other through a tough time. This was constant communication. The kind you share with a partner, a lover. The financial trail continued too. Small, unexplained cash withdrawals. Lunches at nice restaurants charged to her personal card, not the company one. A receipt I found crumpled in her coat pocket from a jewelry store, a delicate silver bracelet. Definitely not something she'd buy for herself, and certainly not something she'd shown me. Who was it for? The answer felt chillingly obvious. Each discovery was like another stab wound. The picture emerging was far uglier than just a two-night stand during a fake conference. This had been going on for months. Maybe longer. Right under my nose. While I was working, paying the bills, trusting her completely. The scale of the betrayal was breathtaking. It wasn't just infidelity, it was a calculated, sustained campaign of deceit. And Sarah? She seemed almost blissful, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath my carefully constructed facade of normalcy. Or perhaps she interpreted my quietness, my slight withdrawal, as me finally getting over my insecurity. She became more affectionate, in a superficial way, trying to initiate intimacy more often. It felt grotesque. How could she touch me, kiss me, after being with him? Did she feel no remorse? No guilt? Or was she just that good an actress? One evening, she came home particularly cheerful, humming to herself. She suggested we go out for a nice dinner that weekend, just the two of us. Reconnect, she said, smiling sweetly. The hypocrisy was staggering. I felt a surge of cold fury. Reconnect? While you're still texting your lover goodnight? While you're wearing the bracelet he probably bought you hidden under your sleeve? I agreed to the dinner, playing along. But inside, I was making plans. The evidence was mounting. The phone records, the receipts, the timeline of lies, it was becoming undeniable. But I still felt like I needed something definitive. Something irrefutable that would shatter her denials completely. That's when the universe, in its own cruel way, delivered the final piece of the puzzle. It was a Saturday afternoon. Sarah was supposedly out running errands. I was working from home, trying to focus, but my mind kept drifting back to the lies, the betrayal. Her tablet, which she rarely used and often left lying around, pinged with a notification. Usually, I wouldn't even glance at it. But this time, curiosity, or maybe fate, made me look. It was a cloud storage notification. Photo backup complete. From her phone. My heart started pounding again. This was it. The Pandora's box I had been hesitant to open fully. Should I? It felt like crossing a final line. But the need to know, the need to confirm the images burned into my imagination, was too strong. With trembling hands, I opened the Photos app on the tablet, linked to her account. I scrolled back through the recent backups. Normal stuff at first, pictures of food, our cat, selfies. Then, I hit the dates of the conference. My breath hitched. There they were. Pictures from inside the Grand Serenity hotel room. Not explicit, not necessarily, but intimate. Selfies of her and Mark, smiling, heads close together. A picture of their intertwined hands holding champagne glasses, the luxury hotel room clearly visible in the background. A shot of Mark, asleep in the bed, taken by her. And then, the one that broke me completely. A picture of her, wearing nothing but one of my old t-shirts, one she'd packed for the conference, lounging on the hotel bed, looking relaxed, happy, intimate. Taken by him. My t-shirt. In their hotel room. The rage I felt before was nothing compared to this. This cold, hard, visual proof. It wasn't just infidelity. It felt like a violation of everything we had shared. Seeing her there, so comfortable, so happy with him, it shattered the last remaining fragments of the woman I thought I knew. There was no going back from this. No explanation, no apology could ever erase that image from my mind. I saved the photos to a secure drive, my movements mechanical, numb. The time for investigation was over. The time for pretending was over. Now, it was time for action. But what action? Divorce, obviously. That was a given. But how? Just leave? Confront her quietly? Or did she deserve to face the full consequences of her actions? Did she deserve to understand the depth of the pain she had inflicted? A darkness started to creep into my thoughts. Not just sadness, but a desire for, not revenge, exactly, but justice. Accountability. She had lived in her comfortable bubble of lies for so long, manipulating me, betraying me, all while playing the victim of my insecurity. She needed to be jolted out of that reality. She needed to see her actions laid bare. I started thinking about the dinner she had suggested. The reconnection dinner. What if that was the stage? What if I let her play out her little fantasy of reconciliation, let her think she was still in control, only to pull the rug out from under her in the most public, undeniable way possible? It felt cold, calculated, unlike the man I used to be. But she had changed me. Her betrayal had forged something harder, sharper within me. I spent the next few days meticulously planning. I contacted a lawyer quietly, starting the divorce proceedings. I gathered all the evidence, the hotel booking, the phone records, the receipts, and now the photos. I made copies. I prepared myself emotionally, steeling my nerves for the final act. Sarah remained oblivious, planning our special dinner, talking about needing a fresh start, blaming our recent distance on work stress and my lingering doubts. The irony was almost unbearable. She was prepping the stage for her own downfall, completely unaware. The night of the dinner arrived. I dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that projected confidence, control. When she came out, dressed up, smiling, telling me how handsome I looked, I felt a pang, not of love, but of pity. Pity for the wreckage she had made of our lives and the reckoning she was about to face. As we sat in the fancy restaurant she had chosen, surrounded by other couples laughing and talking, she reached across the table, placing her hand on mine. "I'm so glad we're doing this, David," she said softly, her eyes searching mine. "I feel like we've been drifting apart, and I really want to fix things. I love you." The words hung in the air, obscene in their falsehood. I looked at her hand on mine, thought of those photos, of her hand intertwined with his. I gently pulled my hand away. Her smile faltered slightly. "Is everything okay?" she asked, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. I took a deep breath. The moment had arrived. "No, Sarah," I said, my voice low but steady, cutting through the restaurant's ambient noise, making her focus entirely on me. "Everything is not okay. And I think it's time we stopped pretending." Her eyes widened almost imperceptibly. The air crackled with sudden tension. She had no idea what was coming next, the evidence I held, the decision I had already made. The charade was over, and the fallout was about to begin. The clatter of silverware around us seemed to fade into a dull roar. It was just her and me, locked in that moment across the table, the carefully constructed illusion of our reconnection dinner shattering like glass. Sarah's smile vanished, replaced by a mask of confusion, tinged with nascent fear. What are you talking about, David?" she stammered, her hand fluttering nervously towards her wine glass. "Stop pretending." I kept my voice level, refusing to shout, refusing to cause a scene. Yet, the power was in the quiet certainty, the undeniable proof I held. "I'm talking about the lies, Sarah. All of them. The constant communication, the secret meetings, the work conference." Her face paled. I don't know what you mean. The conference was boring. I told you." "Oh, I know you told me." I interrupted, leaning forward slightly. "You also told me Mark is just a friend. You told me I was insecure for doubting you. You told me you were staying at the Courtyard Marriott by the airport." I paused, letting each lie hang in the air. "So, perhaps you can explain this." I slid my phone across the table, the screen illuminated with the reservation confirmation for the Grand Serenity. One room, king bed, Sarah Miller and Mark Johnson. 2 nights. Her eyes darted down to the screen, then snapped back up to mine, wide with panic. "David, there was a mix-up with the booking, the company." Her voice trailed off, the excuse dying on her lips as she saw the look on my face. The look that said, "I know." "A mix-up?" I echoed, my voice dangerously soft. "Was it also a mix-up when you booked it weeks in advance using our personal travel rewards account? Was it a mix-up that led to hundreds of calls and texts between you and your friend at all hours of the day and night for the past few months?" I saw the fight drain out of her. The color completely left her face. She looked trapped, cornered. "David, please," she whispered, glancing around nervously, hoping no one else was listening. Let's not do this here. Do what, Sarah? I pressed, relentless now. Talk about the truth? The truth you've been hiding? The truth you gaslight me over for months. I pulled my phone back and swiped. Or maybe we should talk about these? I turned the phone around again, displaying the first photo, the selfie of her and Mark, smiling, in the hotel room. Her breath hitched audibly. I swiped again. The champagne glasses. Swiped again. Mark asleep in the bed. Her eyes squeezed shut, as if she could block out the reality I was presenting. And then, the final image. Her, in my t-shirt, on that bed, looking happy with him. I held it there. Her eyes flew open, saw the picture, and she physically recoiled, tears welling up. Stop, she choked out, her voice trembling. Please, David, stop. Why? I asked, the cold anger finally bleeding into my voice. Why should I stop? Did you stop? Did you stop when you lied to my face every single day? Did you stop when you were texting him while sitting next to me on the couch? Did you stop when you packed my t-shirt to wear for him in the luxury hotel room I unknowingly paid for? Every question was a hammer blow, dismantling the last vestiges of her composure. She started sobbing quietly, covering her face with her hands. The sound offered me no satisfaction, only a profound sense of emptiness. This was the woman I had loved, reduced to this pathetic display, not of remorse, perhaps, but of getting caught. How could you? I asked, the question raw with the pain she had inflicted. All this time, how could you? She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I don't know, she sobbed. It just happened. Mark and we connected. I was unhappy, David. Things haven't been good between us for a while. Unhappy. I cut her off, the excuse infuriating me. So instead of talking to me, instead of suggesting counseling, instead of being an adult and ending things if you were truly unhappy, you chose this? You chose lies, deceit, betrayal? You chose to sneak around with your friend while making me feel crazy? Don't you dare try to put this on me, Sarah. This was your choice. Your calculated, selfish choice. She flinched at the harshness in my voice, the unvarnished truth. She opened her mouth to reply, maybe to offer another excuse, another justification, but I held up a hand. It doesn't matter anymore, I said, the finality heavy in my voice. I know everything. I know about the hotel, the calls, the texts, the lies. I even know about the bracelet you bought him. Her eyes widened again in shock, realizing the depth of my knowledge. There's nothing left to say. There's nothing you can say that will change anything. I took another deep breath. I spoke to a lawyer earlier this week, Sarah. I've already filed. The papers will be served tomorrow. Her head snapped up, sheer panic in her eyes now. Filed? David, no. We can fix this. I swear it's over with Mark. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. Please, don't do this. She reached for my hand again, desperate. I pulled away sharply. Fix this. I asked incredulously. There's nothing left to fix, Sarah. You shattered it. You burned it to the ground. Trust? Gone. Respect? Gone. The love I felt for you. I trailed off, unable to articulate the hollow space where that love used to reside. It's gone too, replaced by this disgust, this disappointment. But where will I go? She whispered, the reality of the situation finally hitting her. What will I do? That, I said, my voice devoid of sympathy, is no longer my concern. Perhaps your friend Mark can help you out. The name hung there, a final, bitter reminder of her betrayal. I stood up, pulling out my wallet to leave cash on the table for my share of the meal and hers. I wasn't going to let her pay for this final, disastrous meal. It was a small gesture, but it felt like reclaiming one last piece of control. I'll be staying at my brother's place tonight, I said calmly. My lawyer will be in touch regarding the specifics of the divorce and dividing our assets. Don't try to contact me directly. We have nothing more to discuss. She stared up at me, utterly broken, tears silently tracing paths down her makeup-streaked face. For a fleeting second, I saw a glimpse of the woman I once loved, lost and afraid. But it was buried too deep beneath the layers of betrayal. The damage was done, irreparable. David, please. She whispered one last time. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and felt nothing. Just a vast, echoing emptiness where my love used to be, and a quiet, steely resolve. I had exposed the truth. I had reclaimed my dignity. I had refused to be the victim of her narrative any longer. There was no fiery revenge, No public shaming beyond our table, but there was a profound, internal satisfaction in facing the lie head-on and choosing myself. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. Leaving the restaurant, stepping out into the cool night air, felt like surfacing after being held underwater for months. I could finally breathe. The pain was still there, a dull, throbbing ache deep inside, but it was mingled with an overwhelming sense of relief. Freedom. It wasn't the ending I had ever envisioned for my marriage, for my life. It was messy, painful, and devastating, but it was real. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was living in reality again, not in the suffocating fog of her lies. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be grief, anger, and the long process of healing and rebuilding my life. But as I walked away from the wreckage of my marriage, under the vast, indifferent night sky, I knew one thing for sure. I had survived the storm. I had faced the ugliest truth and chosen to walk towards a future where I would never again allow someone to dim my light or make me doubt my own worth. The chapter with Sarah was definitively, irrevocably closed, and a new, uncertain, but ultimately hopeful chapter was just beginning. And that brings us to the end of today's story. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope to see you again for more fascinating tales ahead. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next adventure. See you soon.